Good morning to you.
It's a very patriotic shirt you've got on today.
I know it's my tie-dye patriotic flag, for at least the U.S. flag, I guess.
That's right. That's right. What's going on for you down in Florida today?
Uh, cool. I'm just looking at it's interesting the way that this looks on my profile page. Sorry. And I'm now seeing it in the Art of Email Marketing too. Well, isn't that cool? Anyway, I will now get back to focus here. What's going on in Florida?
Yeah.
Just getting the day going and getting the normal routine in place, and looking forward to the magic. What about
Nice.
you?
Nice. The magic. I hear Disney World's open.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It,
All of these. I mean, they have Florida Disney World open, but Disneyland in California is not open, and so it's like, we're a little bit more relaxed in Florida, I think.
that's interesting. Isn't Florida like hotbed right now?
Yes, and I believe that's why.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, I'm all for personal freedom and not being told what to do, but there's a certain reality with this the flow, and I don't think it's any accident that they relaxed it very quickly, very fast, and now we're seeing the resurgence as a result.
Right. Right. Probably true. Probably true. I have heard so many there are some crazy conspiracy theories. There are so many good conspiracy theories around COVID and 2020 and the election and the racial riots. There are some really, there's some really,
It's a feast if you're into that
oh,
stuff, I'm sure.
no, I'm friends with a few people that are like really into it. And so I get to hear, I stay away from conspiracy type stuff because I just got better things to put my brain on. You know what I mean? That like
I do.
that's equally as complicated and can actually like produce a tangible positive result in the world if I, by doing something with it versus just like the mental masturbation of thinking about all the what ifs, right?
Yeah.
But it's still interesting from time to time to hear a good conspiracy theorist just like who's smart and articulate go off about it. It's
Yeah.
parallel realities.
Yeah, I mean, and they're conspiracies for a reason. I mean, they catch hold for a reason. I think I'm seeing, I believe it's Gene. I see, "Hi guys, good morning," and it says Facebook user in the comments. But
Yeah, it could be anybody that's in one of our Facebook groups that this is pushing out to. I think right now it's only going out to our Art of Email Marketing group, but usually Gene's on right sharp at the beginning of most of our calls.
yeah,
How's your day going, Gene? If that's you or whoever the
"Hi guys, good morning." Well, good morning to you two, and to you two, to you as well. Not "Hi Gene," oral. What is it?
good oral hygiene. So, all right, let's get down to business here. We're talking about entrepreneurial surprises. We're talking about entrepreneurial shocks.
Mm.
We're talking about areas in which we've been caught by surprise. And hey, Rodrigo, how's it going, dude?
Awesome,
We
man.
need to complete our conversation. Let's pick up where we left off in the chat. I would love to find out what's going on with you. Cool, good to see you, man. We are talking about entrepreneurial surprises, mishaps, aha moments.
Like the stuff that we wish we would have known prior to venturing out on our journey type stuff.
The kind of thing where, something happens and you just say, the old cliche of hindsight is always 2020. Those are the moments that we're talking about right now. Right?
Yep. Yep. And it might not have changed anything, and it might have been, important to go through that. But what do you wish that you didn't have to necessarily learn the hard way?
Right. And so we'll talk about some of our experiences with that, but we're also very interested in some of the things that you've had to learn the hard way that you wish you had known in advance. So please share those with us in the comments. We would love to hear what you have to say and what's on your mind around this topic.
Jeremiah, what's up?
How's it going, Jeremiah? Were you a bullfrog at any point in your life?
Me?
No, Jeremiah.
Oh, Jeremiah was duh. I bet he's never heard that before.
I never, not once. Not once. Oh, Jeremiah, how's your day going? I hope it's going awesome. How do you unshow a comment once you show it?
Good question. I can't. I'm.
Oh, you're a guest.
Being a guest, I am completely handicapped. All I can do is see the comments going on. But once or twice, yeah, I bet you have been called that once or twice.
Let me see. Well, he loves to drink his wine. All right, good to know. We'll just pin that right up there for you, Jeremiah. So, so what I can do is, so today we are split screen live streaming. We're split screen live streaming directly from Restream today, and just in order to avoid a couple of the technical challenges we've been facing along the way, they have this live studio interface. It's pretty good. And we can post comments from people by clicking on them. But after we click, oh, wait. Ha! Look at that.
You got rid of it. Cool.
I figured out how to eliminate the awesome, but I'm going to bring the awesome back.
Awesome.
So, okay. It's as good as it gets. So, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any examples, any stories, anything that totally kicked your ass, or you're just like, oh.
Oh, too many. I mean, where do I start?
I really wish I had thought about this in advance.
Yeah. I mean, where do you start with that? It's well, here's a big one that just came in. Let's see what that is. Can you put that up on the screen, Tillman?
Yeah, we can't see your name, Facebook user.
To me, it was more about.
Yeah.
It didn't show the whole thing. Bring the Shambo, Shabambo?
Bring the Shabambo back, Tillman. I'll bring the Shabambo back. All right, so it says, to me, it was more about what's the biggest surprise or misconception about being a successful employee that you wish you didn't have to learn the hard way. As I could go on and on about that, I'm quite happy learning my way into an entrepreneurial mind shift.
Yeah, it is for sure a different way of being, of believing, of, I mean, I'm a firm believer in that your business can only grow as much as you do personally. And Shabambo. So the idea of growth and continuing to expand, I think, is vital. And I think that's where we end up having the biggest successes. I think for me, I was always trying to get to a destination, whether that was a particular number. And I was in the very beginning, it was trying to become a millionaire. And then it was becoming, a more successful millionaire. Then it was, how do we build a bigger business, and how do we go from, 3 million a year to 5 million and 10 million and 20 million. And then, could we build $1 billion company, and never stopping to think about, what are the realities of that? And, is that a business that I really want to be a part of? So some of those things are I wish I would have thought through ahead of time. I wish somebody would have told me the 5th million is the hardest to make, not the 1st million. What else? What about you?
What about me? I guess that I definitely became an entrepreneur in order to escape people, and that didn't work. Not really. I mean, I get to spend, as much time alone as I want to, which is great, but I did it because I didn't want to have to deal with people's bullshit, right? Like, I was like, I don't want to have to deal with people's bullshit. I'm going to work for myself, right? And it's just, you're dealing with different people's bullshit, and the bullshit's a little bit different, but like, you still have to deal with people's bullshit. And so that's one piece. The other one is, it took me a long time to understand how much I need I need an organizer in my life as part of my team. That might be that has taken the form of a really great assistant. And this is something I need locally, like in my office, and or in my household. It's like at one point I almost hired a butler because I was like, I really need someone to follow me around and like keep my life organized for me so I can do what I do best. And so I need an organizer, and I need a maintainer, or a technician. And what I mean by that is, at least for my internet related businesses, I'm sure all businesses are now internet businesses, right? In some capacity. And so someone who gets a lift, who gets a sense of meaning and purpose out of taking an existing system and steadily making it better and improving it over time, and or maintaining it, keeping a well-oiled machine, right? Think about like someone who would like the guy back in like, I don't know, the 30s or something, who would be in the basement of the skyscraper running the boiler room for the whole building and keeping that whole building running and keeping that thing like dialed in and keeping everything greased and oiled up and tip top and ship shape and the whole thing, keeping the machine running, right? So I need an organizer to help keep me organized, and I need a maintainer to help maintain and or improve the things that I create. Otherwise, I just create stuff and it falls apart. And then I move on to the next thing. I create something cool and it falls apart. And so I've just found that to be something that, like, my first 7 businesses were total failures because I didn't understand any of this. And after that, I started understanding it, and I've still gone through fits and starts with my teams and my people in terms of really being able to identify not only those people, but the other types of individuals that I need in my business life and or personal life in order to really have the life I want to have and do the kind of things that I want to do. So those are very critical things. Michael Gilchrist says, Telman Knudson, do you use BeLive for you and your guests? It's funny you should ask that, Mike. We've been using BeLive I've had a BeLive account for years, actually. And Joshua and I have been streaming a lot in the last several months with BeLive exclusively, and we are currently using Restream.io because BeLive had some limitations in terms of its ability to stream out to multiple locations and multiple platforms simultaneously. And so we're currently expanding our we're trying some new things, and right now Restream is our winner, but we haven't tried everything yet either. So
and we're still in the learning stages of it too.
Totally, yeah. So this is not BeLive, this is Restream, and the primary advantage of Restream is that you can push out to 30 different platforms all at once. So that's pretty cool.
And actually multiple, like I like it because we can both be, you're live on your profile, I'm live on my profile simultaneously, so that we can get the advanced momentum of both of our personal profiles.
Cool. Yes, I agree. And yeah, it's been really good. Just playing around. So let me see. Opening up the chat. Do we have anybody else? So what other questions do you guys have? Do you guys have any other questions that you want to ask Joshua or I as it relates to?
I'll tell you what was a big shock is that in the beginning, I found that I got less freedom, not more freedom. That I had to work harder, longer. And I was prepared for this, but I don't think I was truly prepared for it until I had some rather big successes, is that as the owner of the company, you get paid last, if at all, ever. And so you end up making less. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything else, but that is a rather rude awakening when you experience it, no matter how many people tell you about it, when you experience that stuff for the first time.
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody else can relate to that.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks when, like, if your company, I'll tell you what, my company at one point, oh my God. So we had 35 full-time people. Now, a bunch of them were contractors. Several of them weren't even in the United States. But basically, we were pushing out 35 full-time salaries. Like where everybody was earning a few $1,000s a week, a piece.
Right.
And I remember when the company got so big in terms of we had so many projects running and so many websites going and so many services that we were signed up to and so many this and so many that, we had to make $250,000 a month just to break even.
Yeah.
Okay? And my company was entirely built on one idea after another idea, just stacked one on top of the other. And like some of them stuck and made money in the long term, and some of them came and went, and then we'd recycle those ideas later on. But it was not a strategically built company and system.
You know what I call that?
A Franken business.
Now, but back in the day, the concept of I worked with a lot of developers, and I realized the same thing. Where like I would have this great idea, or somebody else on the management team would have this great idea, and they would send the development crew down a different direction, and all of a sudden we had this Frankenstein type development. But I think it was. I don't remember who came up with this analogy, but it's like blowing bubbles on top of bubbles on top of bubbles, and it just kind of turns into this mushy, Yep,
it does. And can you avoid doing that your first time through? I'm sure you can if you're like super organized and you really love planning and preparing ahead of time, and like that's your thing, whatever. But that's just not my style. I like to wing it. And I don't mind failing, so, and taking risks. So all the different projects in my company and the multiple companies that we spun off all also had costs associated with them.
Yeah.
And so $250,000 a month just to keep the lights on. And it's just like, fuck, like how did this happen?
Yeah.
And then, when you don't make $250,000 and you make $225,000, and you can't freaking pay yourself that week or that month, like,
yeah,
you just made $200,000 this month, and I can't freaking go out to dinner this week. What the hell is going on here? Like that's like the math of the business, and it's a totally different thing than selling stuff. Like running the math of the business, keeping an eye on it, making sure your business is healthy, making sure your, liquid cash is growing and not shrinking, responding in an appropriate and intelligent, non-erratic way when things look off. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to do.
And I mean the reality is when you first get started, it is chaos, right? And you've got to deal, and there is those ups and downs, and there's no avoiding that until you get beyond that startup phase of the business,
right?
And that's just part of the deal, right? And maybe that's a thing that I wish I would have known ahead of time, that success isn't a straight line. It's always zigzagging. You're always off course. It's those course corrections that take you to where you want to go. It's the zigzagging process. You can't get there without the pushing off of where you've been, and using it as a stepping stone or a chance to pivot. So the interesting thing is that can bounce back. You said something that just struck when you were describing it. I remember the stress of the days. I used to have a payroll of. I shudder even think about it. It was over $125,000 a week on a weekly payroll. And you want to talk about stress? You want to talk about heart palpitations? Literally, That's when I'll never forget this, because it was, I had, it was the first, I think it was about 6 months, went from one person, me, to 62 employees. I started with one office in Florida, and then I expanded over to 4 locations: Florida for the admin, for the operations. Then we had marketing and sales teams in St. George, Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City, Utah. And it was like crazy. And I would spend literally like a week in each location and round robin it. Only it got to the point where I was spending I spent like 6 weeks or so plus out in the West, between Vegas and the St. George, Utah, and Salt Lake City, Utah. And I hadn't seen my family for 6 weeks, and I'm not good without being grounded to the women in my life, my wife and my daughter. I remember we went to Jackson Hole, Wyoming for a getaway weekend. They flew in, I picked them up in Salt Lake. We drove to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it was so awesome. They had this, it was in the summer, and they had this alpine slide, and my daughter was like pushing it faster and faster. She was, I think, 2 at the time, maybe 2, something like that. She was having a blast, and I remember she was running ahead of us, going back to the hotel on the street. And I said to Kathy, I said, I don't want to alarm you, but I've been having chest pains for and I'm like, I was serious. Like I said, I need to go get this checked out. And she said, well, then get out of this business, shut it down. There's nothing worth than your health and all of this. And within, I'd say 6 weeks to 2 months later, I had shut down the entire business operations, even though, to an onlooker, it was super successful and all of that. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't the, what I wanted to have happen.
So let's talk about this for a little bit. I'm very curious for everyone watching. I have a couple questions for you. So if you could answer in the comments, it would make a big difference for just our understanding of where you guys are at. So number one question, and just write, so is how many people are on your team right now? So if it's just you, just write 1. And if it's you and like an assistant or a business partner, that would be 2, right? So how many people are on your team right now that you talk to on like at least 3 or 4 times a week? You know what I mean? Like people that are working full-time or part-time, like really helping one way or the other to make your business fly.
Bernard says 3. Nice.
Awesome. And so my next question then is, Joshua.
Now he says 10.
Interesting. I'm glad your team is growing so quickly, Bernard. That's great news. Congratulations. It's some quick hires. Just messing with you, dude. I'm just curious about how many people are on your team. So if you were going to build a new team right now for with and around the business that you're building, and I'll happily answer this question myself as well. For you, what's the next most important hire to make, or the next 2 or 3 most important hires to make for your team to kind of build things toward what you're looking for, Joshua? Or is that not how you're thinking about it at this stage?
It's a departure for me. I'm not thinking that way now. And I used to only think that way. Like what's the future going to look like? And how do I systemize this? How do I scale this? How do I put the right processes in place? And how do I get leverage by the use of those systems? And at this point in my journey, I am purposefully staying inside that where I do everything element of it, so that I can see what portions of the business I want to outsource, and frankly, what portions of the business that I don't want to be a part of, that I don't want included in my future vision. So this is a complete departure for me. where I am purposely not making it scalable yet because I don't know what I want to scale and I don't know what I need. And I don't know, frankly, how to get the right people or the right systems in place that can scale it because I don't know what I'm doing yet because I'm still building it, right?
Cool. I'm very curious, Bernard. Are there any struggles that you're having with your team or as a leader? Are there any challenges that you're facing right now that you're looking for some help with? Like, let us know what's up. What are you struggling with right now? I'm in the process of rebuilding my team. We've been really focused on the hypnosis business for a long time and for almost a decade. And then for the last couple of years, we've been doing the email marketing agency, and I've had a team of copywriters that I was working with. But the business is shifting where we're still doing some agency work, but the business is shifting into more of an info marketing model again as I'm kind of re-entering internet marketing guru land. And so and with COVID, it's been kind of weird because my son is partially immunocompromised. And so I can't just like hire people in and bring them into my house to work, so my desire to have people local is a desire. It's not going to be a reality for a while. So I'm thinking about, who do I really need? And for me, having a really, really, really great rock star, local assistant organizer type person is so good for me. If nothing, then make sure I eat 3 meals a day. That's really, really helpful. 'Cause when I'm working, when I'm on point, I just don't, I don't remember to eat,
You need a nanny.
Totally.
Rodrigo.
The ad for that, I don't think would be like, I think it would be a little off-putting. A grown adult man in search of nanny.
Somebody to remind him to eat and to go to the bathroom.
Right. It's butler. That's what I need.
Oh man, it's funny. Did you ever see the movie Duplicity or Duplicity, I believe it was, with Michael Keaton? It was several years ago. I mean, it's like probably 20, 30 years ago. And it was all about this guy was like, it was in the early stages of cloning and before that became a popular subject. And his idea was to basically duplicate himself. And so what ended up happening was that the copies made copies of themselves. And just like when you make a copy of a copy of a copy, it starts to disintegrate. And that really got me thinking about business systems. And, we focus so much on growth and growth systems. And we start to want to duplicate that and but we're duplicating oftentimes some of the stuff that isn't serving us that we're not aware of because we're, and so but there's a line in there where one of his early duplications that Keaton does, he didn't tell his wife because he wanted this duplication to be the one doing all the chores that the honey-do lists that, and there's a line in there where one of these duplications comes to him and says, "She touched my pepe." And it was like, he wasn't the swiftest knife or the sharpest knife in the drawer. And so that line has always stuck with me. The movie itself was, but that line I laughed for years.
Pretty funny.
So,
Pretty funny.
It applies here,
Well, what I think about is the upcoming line of Telmandroids.
Yeah.
Yep, Telmandroids in Telmandroid for every home.
But would it be a duplication of you?
Oh yes.
Yeah. See, that might not work out to be the kind of team that you really want, brother.
Oh, I know. But it's still a very funny idea. I was thinking about selling Telmannequins before I sell Telmandroids as like the early model.
Now I like Telmannequins. I think that would be hilarious.
It's funny, much more affordable. All right.
Rodrigo says it's just me. He has 1 to 3 people with whom he has some conversations with. He's not exactly looking to grow now, but he'd rather just get started.
Nice.
I can relate to that, Rodrigo. There was plenty of points in my life that it was just about like, how do I get into motion? How do I create a little bit of momentum?
Right.
And you say you have 1 to 3 people that you have some conversations with. How often do you have the chance to interact with these people that are, kind of like your board of directors, or are these like-minded people? Are they in tune with where you're going, and or are they kind of like in the same boat where they want to get into something but they have no idea how? I mean, what is the makeup? I'm curious.
Bum 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 bum. So guys, so while we're talking with Rodrigo here, what I would say is here's one thing I've found. I know this is pushing out to a few places other than the Art of Email Marketing group. But what I have found is Joshua and I have been operating in direct response marketing for a very long time. And the majority of both of our income has come from email lists, of building hyper-responsive email lists that are directly connected to you, of people who want to buy the types of products and services that you're thinking of offering or that you do offer, right? And when it comes to email marketing and list building, really there are 2 main problems that people are facing, right? The first problem is their list isn't as big as they want it to be, or it's not growing fast enough. Okay, it's not growing as quickly as they want it to grow. The second thing is that your list is not responding as much as you wish they would or you think they should, meaning not enough people are opening your emails, not enough people are reading your emails, not enough people are clicking on your emails, and not enough people are buying your stuff, right?
And that's an influence problem. I mean, basically that the you want to have more influence over them.
That's right. So these are 2 problems as an email marketer, as a list builder, or as an influencer in any medium. Even if your platform is just Instagram and you don't have an email list yet, or even if your platform is just TikTok or just Facebook or just whatever, YouTube, that's fine. Well, it's not fine, but it's great that you have a platform. But if your list and your people and your audience aren't growing as quickly as you want them to grow, and if they're not as responsive as you wish that they were, and you'd like some help with that, then here's what you can do. Number 1, type the word help in the comments below. Just help, exclamation point. And then shoot me a private message or shoot Joshua a private message, and we'll chat with you a little bit about it. Get on the phone and see whether or not we can help you with either the growth of your list or increasing the responsiveness of your list as appropriate. So if that's where you're at and that sounds like something you're looking for help with, we would be more than happy to get on the phone and have a private consultation with you just to discuss where your business is at and if we can help you grow it or not in the way that you're looking to grow.
So I think Rodrigo responded, and then also Michael Measure asked, so the problem is patience, and I'm not really clear on what he was responding that to.
I'm not sure either. Michael, it is good to see you, my friend. It has been a long time. How's it going, man? Michael is a very successful entrepreneur, but I have absolutely no idea what you're actually asking, dude. Let's see.
I think this is Rodrigo's answer to my question about who is his, kind of his I don't want to call mastermind group, but like who he gets to interact with. So do you want to field that, Talman?
Yeah, so one is a buddy from school who's a master on software architecture, and we won't show the whole thing. So yeah. And I always push him to step into this online market or marketing, software as a service, and similar. The other 2 ones are internet marketing English-speaking leaders with whom I'm seeking to start a Spanish service for English marketing tools. Okay. Great. Oh, not asking everyone wants faster results and a bigger list. Patience is required. There's no doubt that patience is required, but you can also, impatience is also required, I think. If you do want to get more results faster, like deciding that you want to do that and putting your foot on the gas is also a very, very effective way to make progress. Impatience.
I think also,
without
Michael's bringing up an excellent point about not everyone wants faster results and a bigger list, and I would agree wholeheartedly. That's a shift in my mindset as well, where I used to be all about building huge lists, and I accidentally would make them super responsive anyway. But that's not what I'm interested in now. I'm not interested in the just having a big list. I want the right people that are, on my list that I can actually serve and work with, and that I would like to sit down and hang out with, even if they weren't just an email subscriber, so I can totally agree with you.
I actually, we have a funny thing going on here. So, Bernard, I'm really glad that you're here, first of all, because you're coming in from Periscope, and I haven't done crap with Periscope in several years. I don't even know if I can log into Periscope from a browser tab. So here's why I'm asking. Bernard, here's what I want you to do. Go over to, let's see if I have a way. No, I don't. Oh, yeah. Okay, I can actually do this. So, Bernard, go over to, I'm going to give you a link on Periscope, but I want you to join the Art of Email Marketing Facebook group for starters. So that because you asked for help, but I have no way of reaching out to you because it's on Periscope, and I don't even know how to use Periscope. So, and I'm just being straight with you on this. So, stand by. I'm getting you a link. All right. So first of all, I'm going to try popping this. All right. We're going to give you a link to the Art of Email Marketing on Facebook. So, all right. He says Twitter. Oh, are you coming in just from Twitter? All right. Well, that's cool. Well, send me a private message on Twitter. I can definitely log into Twitter. Though, again, it's been a very long time. Clearly, or I would have some idea of what the heck is going on. So funny.
There is one thing that I wanted to just go back to Rodrigo on, and thank you, by the way, for that detailed answer. The gentleman or woman, I don't know what that you said is somebody that you, in quote unquote, I always push him to, him, okay, to step into this online marketing, SaaS and similar. Somebody that you have to push, or that is, that is generally speaking going to be fraught. I mean, we want to take the people that we love the most, that we think, we want it more for them than they want it for themselves. And that was another thing that I wish I would have known prior to, is love them and let them grow where they're at. And, but make sure that you're spending time with the people that are going to level up your game, that are going to help you play a bigger game rather than stay in the status quo. And, I'm reminded by what my friend Randy Gage, and I'm sure he got it from somebody else, but what he used to say all the time was, your income is the average of your 5 closest friends that you normally hang with. And I would even go further to say that it's not just about your income, it's about your beliefs, where what you, think is possible, where what you aspire to. All of those tend to be within that that average of what that looks like, until you constantly deliberately make the intention of leveling up. And not to say that you leave your people behind because you love them, and if they want to go with you, then yeah, more the merrier. Let's do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing though, right? Is when you talk about leveling up, I know I always go back to running as my metaphor because I've been doing it for so much of my life. But it's like when you first start running or even walking, right? Let's say you're like really, really, really heavy. Let's say you're very overweight and you're like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm going to start walking every day. And you go out and you walk for 10 minutes and you're completely exhausted. You're sweating buckets. You're tired. You're out of breath. Your body hurts. Everything sucks, right? But you find one or two people that are in similar physical condition, similar physical shape, similar situation to you, and you agree you're going to start walking together every day. And sure enough, the three of you start walking together every day. And you start walking, and at some point along the line, you're like, maybe I should adjust my diet. Maybe I should change my diet, and that would get me faster progress. And your friends, they're not interested in changing their diet, but you decide you're going to do some intermittent fasting and maybe like go paleo or like play around with ketosis or some crap like that. And sure enough, like you start losing weight and you're like, wow, this feels really good. I'm going to start lifting some kettlebells in my like second workout during the day to like strengthen my upper body. And your upper body starts getting stronger. And now there's a little bit more pep in your step. Maybe you start like making green smoothies for breakfast and you're ready to rock and roll. And so all of a sudden, what's next? Well, I'll tell you what's next. What's next is like you speed up the walk a little bit while you're out with your friends and they start complaining about it because you're going too freaking fast because you're losing weight at twice the speed that they are. You're building muscle. You have more energy. And you're going to do one of two things. You can either kick it down a notch and walk slow and not get a workout and just kind of like do what your friends are doing. Or you can walk faster and get a better workout and get your body in the shape you want it to be in faster because you're willing to take those steps and you're willing to make those changes, and they aren't. And often what will happen at this stage is you'll find a new group of friends to start exercising with. And that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you can't be friends with those people anymore, but it means you probably shouldn't exercise with them if you want to get in better shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the same is true. The same is true in so many ways financially. But you can break free. It is totally possible to break free, and is absolutely possible, especially in this day and age, to spend an enormous amount of time around people who are giving you the kind of influence that you need. And even if they're not your friends, even if you are a black sheep, like first generation entrepreneur in a old mill town and you're the only person who's trying to do anything of interest, the reality is you can inundate your mind with podcasts, TED Talks, books, audiobooks,
live streams, interactions in groups.
And that's all for free.
Yeah.
Right? We're not even talking about like you can do that now, right? It's all at your fingertips. So they're very, very powerful. Cool, Bernard. Let me go accept you into the group. Bernard said that he requested to join the good old fashioned.
Yeah, I see that. Awesome. Great. And Rodrigo said that he tends, he's responding to the point about his, that we've just been chatting about. So he says he tends to go for the employee stability, but he has had some entrepreneurial experiences which have ended up bad within those teams. Now we are looking for opportunities together first time, and is great. Awesome. Congrats, Rodrigo. That's awesome. You never know when somebody's ready to step up because they are in charge of when they're ready to take it to the next level. So that's fantastic. And, that's a prime example of love them and let them grow. The only thing that I would advise you is it's something that my aunt and uncle who are self-made millionaires in real estate taught me early on, like when I was 13, 14 years old. When they're renting an apartment and somebody, talks about bad roommate situations or bad landlords in the past and whatever, they really do their homework and due diligence on these people because they don't want to become the next person that becomes the reason why they couldn't have the place that they wanted to be and live and do and have. And so all I'm saying is that, if they end up bad within those teams, just be aware that you both are creating the team environment. So make sure that both of you keep an open line of communications past the honeymoon stage, and that you support one another and stand for one another, and that you have clear lines of communication when things break down, because they will. The honeymoon moves through rather rapidly, and then you don't want to fall back into the old patterns of blame and all of that. So. Just some advice, and that's something that I wish I would have known, and applied beyond just knowing it. I knew it intellectually, but I sure didn't experience it till the last 10 years or so. And now I really appreciate it. And as Tillman is kind of smiling and nodding his head, we he and I don't see eye to eye on everything, and we have our communication breakdowns, but we always work through them by getting on the phone, or by just having a clear line of communication through it to try to work through whatever the misunderstanding might be.
That's right. Which is critical. Business relationships, personal relationships, employee, employer. At the end of the day.
Yeah, but I see another hi guys. I bet that one's Gene now.
Could very well be. All right. Well, Gene, or otherwise, can't see your name, but we would love to know who you are. And if you all have any other questions that you want to run by us, please ask them in the comments. Bernard, great to have you in the group. Thanks for letting me know what was going on with Periscope and Twitter. I just decided to plug that in to Restream, and now I'm looking on Twitter for the first time in years. And sure enough, we have Twitter videos, Joshua.
Wow.
And
so did they merge? Did Twitter and Periscope become one?
Periscope, I believe, was started by Twitter. And then and at one point there was Periscope, and then there was that other one that was like, it was big for a little while, and then it fell apart. I don't remember what it was called. Anyway, I think they did become one or something. But one way or the other, we are broadcasting our split screen onto my Tillman, Twitter.com/Tillman account, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. And Gene says, of course it's Gene. Well, it wasn't earlier when I made the assumption that it was.
That's
so,
right.
Hi, Gene.
That's right. So funny. All right, everybody. Well, I think we're going to call it for the day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Guys, if you want help building your list, type help in the comments. Shoot us a private message. We'll get on the phone. We'll help you supercharge it up. All right. This is Tillman.
And Joshua.
Over and out.
Bye.